Welcome to the All-Star Networking Podcast. It's the show where you hear from a new expert each week on how to build an all-star network, increase business sales, grow careers, find a job, or enrich your life. Let's get it started. From the Midtown Global Market in Minneapolis, here's your host, Kathy Paper.
Welcome to the All-Star Networking Show at Midtown Global. I am super fired up about today's guest. First, I also have to give a shout out to my trusty friend and producer and executive director of the Friends of the Midtown Global Market, Matt Tell.
Nice.
All right, Ken, introduce yourself to all our listeners on a variety of platforms.
I'm Ken Goldman, business friend of Kathy Paper. That's probably all you need to know.
Yeah.
But I can give you more than that. I am partner in a few companies, one of them named Ingredient, which is a food marketing company based in Northeast Minneapolis. And the other main one is called Stump Puppy, which is a designer and manufacturer of gear for dogs who spend a lot of time out and about with their owners.
Nice. And I have been a loyal customer of Stunt Puppy since I think the very beginning.
Probably.
When you started sewing, and there was a little, when Nike used to have the little apple thing that went in your shoe, I got one of those, and you made the little pouch that went with it, and then I got one of the original leashes.
Yeah.
And
we were just moving, actually. We just moved into a new facility, and we're like carting the original machine that I started on, which we don't use anymore, but I'm having a hard time letting go of it. So,
do not get rid of it, because
takes up a lot of space.
I know, but I remember trying to help you find sewers and connected you with my cousin up in Duluth who runs Arrow Stitch for any motorcycle advocates.
Hashtag networking.
Hashtag networking, yes. Oh, yeah, I'm super fired up for today because I was thinking, though, Ken, I was a little nervous about today because you had a podcast. Do you still have the Candy podcast out of Ingredient or not?
Actually, it does still exist. It was in hiatus over COVID, but we just launched one, Ingredient. Yeah, and it's coming back full force.
Okay.
It's a fun one.
It is a fun one. So the link...
Yeah, Candy Talk is the name of it. Paper will share the link.
Because I just found out, have you ever taken your podcast people on a field trip, that we have one of the largest candy stores in Minnesota in a little yellow building?
Oh, a big yellow building.
So I just have found out about it, and I've driven by once, and I thought, I'm going to need to go there on a candy field
good.
trip.
That would be a good mobile podcast.
Can I come along with when you do that? Could we have like a van and a pit
your
crew?
idea.
Okay, my idea.
Yeah.
Good. All right, Matt, are you in for a road trip? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, that would be great.
Have microphones will travel. Because I've heard this guy is amazing entrepreneur, interesting. So again, I was a little nervous because you are impressive in some of your business ventures. And we want to talk a little bit about networking. So what do you think about networking? Let's just put that softball out there.
It's an interesting question, and I know you gave me questions to read ahead of time, and that was one of them. And the answer is I don't think about it, because I think it's just happening, which probably isn't very helpful for anybody. But I think if you dig a little deeper, it's just more of a way of communicating, and I'm probably going to say this a million times, but I think a lot of it's just curiosity, right? Just asking, like if you're talking to someone, asking them questions, which is not, for me, that's inherent, that's my nature. But if you don't do that, like, you're not going to find things out or find out what they're interested in or who else they might know. I think that's curiosity is kind of the theme.
That got you started.
Yeah.
So at the beginning when you were networking, and again, we have listeners kind of at all stages of whether it's their business or their job search or their career. I say this, 72% of people do not like the term networking.
Yeah, there's there's a lot of baggage with it, I feel like, because it makes it sound like it's insincere. But if you don't necessarily think of it as a work thing and think of it more as, because like I got a text yesterday from my neighbors, like, hey, a buddy of mine is starting a new knife sharpening business, and he knows like Ingredient used a lot of knives, and And Stump Puppy, we sharpen his scissors a lot. So he's like, can I hook you guys up? And you're really good at this, where it has nothing to do with you, right? And you're just like hooking two other people up. And that's just like being a person.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's interesting, like knife sharpening.
Cool. Knife sharpening. We need that. My husband has like a little, I don't know if it's pumice or something, a little thing he's always sharpening. Stone.
Yeah.
My aunt, too, was sharpening to cut a watermelon. She's 92, and she whips out something to sharpen. And I'm like, Helen, I got to step away a little bit from you. It made me a little nervous. But what you're describing, though, is something I call the networking assist. Mm-hmm. Because you can be curious about someone, but then you also want to think, who can I connect them to?
Right. And that's just, this is going to sound stupid, that's just fun or like feels good, right? You know, it's like you're giving something rather than just wanting something. Because it all, like, comes around. Example, you, over COVID, said, hey, can I say names?
You can say names.
David Sherman.
Yep.
Photographer for the Timberwolves and the Lynx. And I didn't know him at all because, obviously, his business was zero right at the beginning of COVID. We talked, sent him a few names here and there, and then we stayed in touch. And then I was at a Timberwolves game, and I just texted him. I'm like, hey, I'm here. And after the game, I went on center court, got a picture. It was awesome.
Nice.
Yeah, and now he's super cool guy.
He's great.
Yeah,
he's
and
great.
Amazing photographer.
And okay, so let's even play it back further.
Yeah.
So David Sherman's parents grew up with my mom and her sister Helen that I just mentioned in Sioux City, Iowa. So they were next door neighbors there. So that's how I know David. And then, of course, I follow him online because his photographs of all the Timberwolves are amazing.
Yeah.
And I think when the pandemic hit, he reached out to me and said, hey, who do you know that might be doing pictures or...
Yeah. And, I'm on LinkedIn. I'm changing gears. And probably was on it right when it started. That's how old I am. So I have this giant list, but it's rarely of value for true networking. It's more just like a niche Google, we're interviewing someone, I'm going to look them up, or I just want to get a quick read on something. I don't think that's networking, and I realize you didn't ask. You thought.
No, I like that thought of LinkedIn because, one, you're not that old. I don't know. LinkedIn's been around 10 years, right?
Oh, way more than that.
More than that?
Yeah, no, I think I was on it in early 2000s. Yeah. Anyway, and I was in the Bay Area, so it was probably 20 of us on it. So, but that's not networking. It's not saying you shouldn't have LinkedIn because that's just a good business card. You should, but...
I like you called it a niche thing. See, I think there's something to networking about being on and off the screen, of understanding. Now people do a lot of research of other people, but you still want to meet face to face or use the phone.
Yeah.
Or this is great. You and I haven't seen each other, I think, since I got a cord from you at the start of the pandemic so I could hide in my basement.
That's funny. Yeah, and that on and off. My son has a friend, and I know that she's really interested in arts administration, and I met someone the other night who's good friends with someone else who has this, essentially my son's friend's dream job. And I'm I could introduce them right away. I thought of that. I'm you know what? No, it would be better. I'm going to introduce her to my friend who's friends with that woman. And so it'll just be a warmer introduction. I'm go have coffee with her, and then she'll set you up with that other woman. And yeah, I have no dog in that fight.
Right. But okay,
but it's fun.
Slow that one down for
a
second because, like you said, it feels good to make those connections.
Yeah.
And are you going to do that? You're going to send your son's friend to the guy that you know. My friend. Your friend.
Yeah.
Right?
Instead of me just sending her straight to that person and the end person and saying, hey, my friend's dad knows this person and they know you. So it would be a better connection that one-off, right? That's convoluted. We don't have a whiteboard here, but...
No, but the
just
reason...
the most direct connection.
Yeah, but the reason why I'm saying slow it down a little bit is because I think there's a tendency when we're connecting someone or building a relationship is you and I that do it naturally don't realize how valuable that is to the people, as well as you're teaching your son's friend, here's how you build relationships.
Right. Yeah.
So that she's comfortable enough to stand on her own 2 feet.
Yeah, absolutely. And if she talks to my friend will give a way better introduction to the end person. And everybody, and then my friend has a bunch of connections for her too.
So this is where, what I love on sports shows is when they diagram the play. Like, imagine, Matt, shall we diagram the play? And now we can show the, dotted line and then the yellow. They pass the ball over to this person and boom, we've got a connection. And she has a job in the arts education. Yeah. So I want to shift gears, though, because I love Stunt Puppy. Of course, Jimmy and Brandy, my dogs, have yet to be featured in your Instagram.
To be fair, I am not in charge of Stunt Puppies of the Week, but I know some people.
Do you know some people? Because I think Jimmy and Brandy are attractive, Yeah. I mean, we're not models, all of us, but they're attractive dogs.
And we're honestly not looking for, I have golden retrievers, purebred, and they're boring. Everybody's seen a golden retriever, so they're rarely featured.
Okay, well, Brandy's attractive. Anyway, Stunt Puppy, what I love is... do you still go every year to the outdoor retailer show, or how do you network to grow your business?
Good question. We're a little odd in the sense we're a pet brand, but we don't necessarily try to network with pet stores because we're, again, back to that word niche. We focus on... We have one big focus of people who run with their dogs. We have a new focus of people who boat with their dogs or live on water.
Did you say boat?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you have the life vest.
Life jackets, which is huge and has been great for us this year. So we try to, again, cut through a lot of that noise so we wouldn't go to, a global pet where there's a million pet brands because we don't want to necessarily end up in a pet store. And our big trade show that we go to every year is called the Running Event. And it's specifically for independent specialty run retail. And we pretty much own that market. Fun fact, that market's really tiny. but
powerful.
But we can get our arms around it. So we did go to outdoor retailer for several years in the beginning just to establish ourselves as we're real, we're here. But it's much more of a party and a lot less people are going to that, and it's super expensive. There's not a lot of business done there. But it was good to start with.
Right, to get a knowledge.
Yeah.
So for somebody that's thinking about... nice. Matt's sneaking in his dog.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, Matt's good. Okay, we're gonna have to work on our platform of... We'll share a few pictures from the show. Hashtag networking dogs, maybe?
Yeah.
Networking with dogs.
Speaking of which, dogs and dog parks are just... an insane environment to network in because it's just this neutral thing. Nobody knows anybody, but you both have dogs there, so you can pretty much say anything, ask anything, and you just meet. There's no reason for anybody to be there except they have a dog, and so what an amazing opportunity to just meet anybody at any point.
I like that. Now, see, I get a little worried. Jimmy and Brandy, when they both go together to the dog park, I think they might be meatheads.
Do they cause trouble?
I think they cause a little trouble, yeah.
Yeah, it happens.
So, I was asking Tom if I can bring the dogs back to the dog park because they love it.
Yeah.
Except for they're the dogs that when it's rainy and there's the big mud puddle, they go into the mud puddle. And then everybody looks at you like they feel so bad that you have to take that dog home. So I digress. So, say you go to that running show. What was it called? The Independent?
The Running Event.
The Running Event. Do you prepare before you go to an event, or how do you maintain all those relationships?
Some of that is just a physical structure. We bring a blank book. Everybody we meet, we grab a card, we write down whatever they're interested in, make notes, and then follow up with them when we get back. It's just kind of a boot camp, Rolodex boot camp thing. I soon realized trade shows weren't always about sales. Obviously, that's the goal, but we meet other vendors, other partners. Here's a good one. Our first or second year of outdoor retailer, my dog Bauer, who I started the company with, he was a therapy dog and amazing. And so he just walked into the Croquis booth. I don't know if you guys know what Croquis is. They make those things that go on your glasses, and they make belts. They've been around forever. He just like walked in on his own. I'm like, okay, I better follow him in there, and makes friends with this guy with long gray silver hair. Turns out that was the president of Croquis.
Nice.
And 20 minutes later, we had like a co-branded deal with Croquis where we were making their leashes and collars. And it's funny because they got bought a few years ago, and the new company is like, yeah, we're trying to find the contract for that. I'm like, dude, there's no contract. This was between my dog and John.
Oh, I love that story.
Yeah.
The dog networking. That's good. That's so good.
Actually, he, what's the name of the gift shop? Corazon here and they used to be in the North Loop, and our office used to be in the North Loop, and I tied Bauer out to a parking meter and went into Corazon, and she's like, no, please bring him in, and then 2 minutes later, we were selling in Corazon, too.
I remember that. That was one of your first stores that you sold into.
Yeah.
That's so good. That's such a good story.
Yeah.
And
I didn't answer your question, though.
Yes,
I don't
you did.
remember. Okay.
Yes, you did, because you kept a notebook. You sort of had a plan. But it's that, to me, you started the first word, you said curiosity.
Yeah.
And there's something about going to an event where you got to be curious, but you also have to have a little bit of a plan of what are you doing? Who are you looking for? You
Absolutely. And you start asking questions and you see patterns, and then you, like, as much as you can, adjust on the fly. Like for a consumer show, like we did the State Fair last year for the first time. Come see us at the State Fair this fall. And right after the event, which was grueling, we sat down and made notes and like, okay, here's what needs to change next year. And we just sat down a week ago, like prepping for the one coming up in a month. And I'm so glad we took those notes, because it would have been easy just to do the same thing. And we took good pictures, and I was really excited about the booth when it was all happening. And I look back at the pictures, I'm like, oh my God, that's a mess. We can do so much better.
Will you have a selfie station though? I'm kind of into the selfie stations now. Because again, we're at Midtown Global Market, 30 vendors here that you can buy food, you can buy gifts, you can have your jewelry repaired. To come take a selfie shot.
Yeah. No.
Then everybody knows.
Now we got to make a selfie station.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I might have a low selfie station for with the dog.
Well,
again,
but
I'm a
you
fan
can't
of the
bring your dogs to the pet pavilion in the fair. Did I say we were at the pet pavilion at the fair?
You did not say that.
That's where we are.
Where's the pet pavilion?
It's like northeast corner. It's great because it's a little bit out of the hullabaloo. It's by all the show dogs that you can come see in all those dog shows. Anyway, and there's great
I might have to go to the
bathrooms
fair.
Right there. You don't have.
Nice.
I love the fair, but you don't have to get in the throes of the fair.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway.
That's good. Okay, so
Selfie
there's my
station.
selfie station, because partly I think one of the things I've so enjoyed of our business friendship or business allyship is sometimes it's nice to be the cheerleader of the other person. So to me, a selfie station is, I'm taking my picture. Here I am at the fair. I love my dog.
Yeah.
Whatever you come up
Wish
with
you
will
were
be
here.
super creative. Yeah. But then it's about sharing it with your whole network so they know about it. There's that networking assist.
And I'm just thinking out loud, we have these, you're going to be able to do custom collars on site where you can get your ID put on there. Maybe it's holding up the collar that you designed or something. Yeah. All right. Working on that.
Okay. I love that idea. And Matt, you're going to be at the fair, right? The market's going to be at the fair?
Oh, cool. Where's that at? The bazaar. Okay. Which is basically southeast side. Yeah. Cool. Speaking of this market, used to be Sears, right? So my dad worked for Sears 33 years. I know he had several times worked here. So it's kind of cool to be here. And I've come here since it was redone from the beginning.
Yeah. I would love to do it, Matt. Maybe this is our idea here, because a lot of people I've talked to about this location in South Minneapolis, right at the corner of, Chicago and Lake, is they worked here, and to get the alumni to come back and talk about, hey, I worked here, what did you do?
Yeah, that's cool.
Good history in the area.
Yeah, I've been coming just to this area a lot more in the last 2 years, just to see how it's doing and just be in the space, and it's pretty powerful. So I like being down here.
Great. You also, too, I think, with your stunt puppy business and your ingredient business, you do have a very diverse workforce, correct?
Yeah. It depends how you define that. But yeah, it's something we think about and talk about and strive for all the time.
And did Ingredient win some awards?
Well, we were like a best place to work type thing. Yeah, I think 2021 we were best place to work. Yeah, and they're two very different businesses in terms of workforce and types of people we need. And there's an organization in town for the marketing and ingredient side. There's an organization in town called Brand Lab, which is taking high school and college age people and trying to expose them to the marketing, advertising world, and specifically BIPOC communities, and which you could say, oh, that's great, they're doing that, and it is great that they're doing that, but it's really good business because we need an absolute representation of the people we are marketing to. We need those people to be the marketers as well, and it's good business.
Yes.
So, because there's a lot of things I don't know about a lot of communities, and I never will, and we all need to be in it together.
Yes, well said. Well said. That's why the market, partly why, we're here at the market, is under one roof. You have 30 different businesses. I still want the map of where people are in the world. It's very diverse, very entrepreneurial. Networking with the purpose is part of the mission of the show and of helping people expand their connections and do good business. It's good for business. So one final question, and then I'll get Matt's take on anything else, is how do you find time to keep up all your relationships or your networking?
Oh, boy. I can't say I'm good at it, but what I try to do as much as possible is pick up the phone, which freaks some of my employees out whenever I call them, or because a lot of people don't like to talk on the phone, but I just think it's so much more powerful. Just talk to somebody and let them hear your voice.
Yes.
So that's my personal preference.
Do you have like a set time of day that you make calls, or when the spirit moves you?
A lot of time when I'm driving.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but it's really hard. I just have a hard enough time getting through email, which the email is broken.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother podcast.
I heard So, Matt, any final questions, thoughts?
Midtown Global Market is funded in part by membership. Okay. From your perspective of the market, what would you do in terms of networking to help build that membership base?
Wow. Well, one, I didn't know that. So
would you like to become a member?
I would. I should know that, right? I assume you're already doing this, but like tapping into each of the 30 businesses kind of email lists or things like that, or Instagram, and maybe promoting what you could get from them if you were a member. Just making that kind of tie, that ribbon around the place. It's always felt really cool to come here and do stuff. Like, we did a few cooking classes as a company, internal team building. That's one of the best things we ever did. When you're looking for members, is it at an individual or a company level? Okay. Yeah, it seems like the company level, because it's food, Ingredient will be a member. I'm just saying that right here.
High five. High five.
I didn't even know that was a thing. That's super cool. And we'd love to talk about that too. Yeah. Nice.
Yes. So I think actually your question, Matt, I'll connect the dots, is part of a network to me is people want to be in community. Mm-hmm. And your employees are part of your community. And to me, like, my network is my community. And who am I connected with? How do I stay connected? And maybe, too, to be a member of the Friends of the Global Market is you could come down here we're going to have a party when we've done enough episodes of all the guests, and then they can bring their people. And that community is, I think, what drives people to build a network and sort of you get woven together.
Yeah.
Not as big as a Timberwolves game, you know, where everybody's the same fans, but kind of on that smaller scale of whether it's a chamber or the people that are the friends of the market. Like, people want community.
Yeah, you have like things in common. And I know we're done, but I have another example.
Please.
Like Stump Puppy, so we have ambassadors, and in the past they've mostly been people who run with their dogs. But so I'm a musician, and I like tapped into this whole community of drummers with dogs. I'm like, oh, we're going to sponsor those dogs because some of them have gigantic Instagram followings and they're cool people, and I just want to meet them, right? So we have a handful of those, and then I've been fly fishing a lot lately. There's a bunch of people who fly fish with their dogs. So again, it's just...
Thank you for listening to the All-Star Networking Podcast with Kathy Paper.
Well.
To learn more about strategic networking and making impactful connections, visit rockpaperstar.com.
Thank you to
Please
our
join
listeners.
us in supporting the Midtown Global Market as a vital community resource that supports small business, cultural diversity, and free or low-cost programming. Reach us at friendsofglobalmarket.org.